Good morning.
Yeah, this one's really shallow focus, so you're gonna have to kind of constantly turn that wheel. So we are out in the Chihuahuan Desert, is that right? What desert are we in?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're in Terralingua, an Airbnb. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning, and we're trying to get a time lapse at sunrise. Wow. Dude. You see that? Can you see it at all?
Focus. Oh, whoa.
You know, I tried to film it, but it's cooler a second ago. There were more stars. Watch. That's freaking cool. At some point, there must have been a car that went by.
So why is this the first time you've ever done this?
Well, I'm just not really a traditional photographer, and I never really have a full-frame camera on hand. We use RED cameras and video cameras, and this is a stills camera. I just got this super wide-angle 10mm lens, and this is one of the designated natural, like, dark spots in the world as far as star sightseeing goes, whatever the word is.
I guess astrophotography, right?
It's like one of the like, if you're into photography at all, it's kind of one of the things to do out here. So, watch out for cactus. For 16 seconds of video, it's going to take 2 hours and 4 minutes.
Wow.
This camera's cool in that it compiles it for you. I think it's wrong. Let's go make some coffee.
I heard that. Well, there's only one question that really matters.
Onyx or Merit?
Yes.
Well, perhaps since
Texas,
we are in Texas,
Arkansas.
Maybe we
Texas.
kick off Texas with Texas.
There might be some good for nothings, but these are good for something. So we can actually have it where we're just sitting here, huh?
We just have an actual conversation about what we're gonna do. So yeah, I guess yeah, kick it off with a cheer. So we're on a mad mission to make something, and it's been a long time since we've gone out to make something without a 100% clear idea what it is. We always try to be open to things, and when we do our little traveling faces documentaries, we usually have a pretty clear subject, but we're always open to the circumstances of that subject, and that those have gone awry and gone in weird directions. But I guess sort of the impetus of this whole thing was I've never been to Big Bend. I moved to Texas last year, about 6 hours from Big Bend, and it feels like a quest that must be made. Yeah. You've been here before. You've written songs about this area.
You know, I was thinking about it actually this morning when I woke up. It was so strange about what we're doing is that, like, most people come here to get away from their
to not have to
schedules and shit. Yeah. And so it's like to be waking up at dawn. I just realized we're crazy people
on a mission.
What. Yeah,
right, we're not here to relax.
We finally got to the artist retreat in the furthest remote place in Texas where there's barely any 3G coverage. And we're still waking up at dawn with an agenda.
For a time. Yeah.
And we're waking up with an agenda that is we have no agenda.
Right, and that's almost more refreshing and recharging for me than not doing nothing. Doing nothing becomes stressful for me.
So it's sort of the lostness of it, or the what might we find, or the what, I don't know.
Yeah, the magic of it is, for me, when I look back, is the getting up at dawn to get a time lapse of the sunrise, and walking away with that piece of thing that I've made or captured or whatever. Because the parks just are something that's sort of a uniquely American thing. It's something my family, at least my grandparents, like, travel the whole country multiple times over, road tripping in our RV. They've been to every park. But and as a kid, I traveled a lot, but we never really traveled to the parks. I've still never been to the Grand Canyon. By the time I was a sophomore in high school, I'd been to every continent except for Antarctica.
Wow.
I've never been to
the Grand Canyon.
Grand Canyon. And like what Louisiana, it's sort of in a weird, if you look at a map of all the national parks in the country, they kind of, in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, all that, Arkansas's got one. But a lot of those states, it's kind of there's no national parks. There's state parks. But it's sort of a reminder that we didn't grow up in a grand landscape.
True.
We grew up in flat farm, swampland. And so there is something about you cross a certain border, and even the 2 national parks in Texas are both on the far west borders.
I hadn't thought about it like that.
Considering how big Texas is. But anyway, I mean, there's something about, these are places you have to trek to, and for whatever reason, I've never trekked to them, and they seem like, aside from the natural instinct to get some natural, beautiful footage of landscapes and nature, like what are the stories out in these places, and what are the people? It's a desert. How do you live out here? What attracts people out here? And so on some level, I think that's what we're trying to look for, is get some perspectives from people about it.
And on the national parks topic, at a glance, I think people would say, well, the parks were established to preserve land, but the rest of that sentence is preserve land for the American people to explore.
Right.
So it's like we are allowed to come out here.
Right.
You live in San Antonio. This is Big Bend National Park for you, paid by your tax dollars.
Right.
And if it weren't for the growing population,
that's what keeps the parks running.
They would, be closed.
The fees to go into the park are what maintain the park.
Yeah, and there's all this talk right now of the president cutting funding to the parks. Like the parks are not, they're not holy. They're maintained by people who visit them and care and renew their care. And
it's about tourism almost.
It's about tourism, yeah. And not just about like get out here with your sunscreen and camera, but like have a quiet moment in nature. Right. Which is why I mean we're a little bit absurd.
Right.
We're not seeking a quiet moment.
I think we've already had it gets pretty quiet out here.
Yeah. But no, totally. We're not here for the solitude necessarily. Well, and your draw as a photographer, like what's excited you so far is doing the night shots and then dawn
doing
shots.
Some new stuff. Right.
Well, I just would point out that your grandpa, the reason you have photos is because he was out here with the same impulse. It wasn't video, but he was taking photos, and I don't know. I think that's special. I feel guilty about that all the time. My parents had all these photos of us when we were kids, and I barely take any photos of my kids.
What's weird is how like recently all this came together too, because it was Christmas before last, about 1.5 years ago. I started scanning all my grandfather. He passed away like 3 years ago, and he had 30 boxes of reels of slides. They're all in the reel. There ended up being about 3,000 slides, and it goes from like when he and my grandmother first met, and all the travels they did like in their 20s before they had kids, all the way through my mom and uncles growing up, and it's crazy, like their first house being built. And then this past Christmas, crossing paths with my godmother from Miami that I never see, but she's living back in our hometown again. And she pulls out some photos just haphazardly of my parents because they're talking about how they like looking at old photos. And most of them are my parents and her going to Big Bend in like the 80s before they had kids. So it's like there was this like family rhythm. It's like I just happened to move to Texas. There's like, there's a calling out here, I guess.
Right, yeah.
First photos I have of my grandparents out here. I think his car's in the shot too. So they must have used to be able to drive up right here. This was a post office. And I have a photo from my grandfather probably 70 years ago, like standing right here. It's kind of a weird thing. So I'll pull up the picture. The weirdest analogy I can think of, like on the way up here. It's a really nerdy thing, but like in Assassin's Creed where you have to like synchronize your memories at like the points of the building. That's what this feels like, is I have to go to these points and synchronize. There's some weird like familial spirit. I mean, 70 years, I don't know the exact timing, but it's roughly that. And that's a long time. I know it's old because my grandfather had hair. Like, I never knew him to have hair my whole life. So that was like before he had kids. Like, they were cruising around the country in this little car. It's so crazy. So yeah, Landon just pointed out, like, for reference, how old this tree is. And it's not even some other kind of bush or something that's in this photo there. Or no, it is back there. Look, you can see it through the car window.
Oh yeah.
That's it, I think. Yeah, well, it's a little further back from that. That's it, yeah. That's like 70 years of growth or so. That's crazy. I do wonder too, there is like a feeling too, like when it's, you know, my grandfather passed away like 4 years ago in December. But there's like that feeling, like I wonder if this would feel as weird and sort of as much of a spiritual journey if that wasn't the case. Mm-hmm. There's something about the echoes of previous people.
So if you've ever wondered what Mexico looked like, there she is. It's really amazing to think about all the fuss of the walls and the borders and then just see this. And it's like,
you're standing in America, looking at Mexico.
Well, and just how it's one thing. Like, it doesn't look like another. Actually, the grass looks better over there. It's weird to want to feel like I want to play like Red Dead, but it's like, what are you talking about? I'm here.
We keep making video game references, and I think that's a sign of the times.
Right. I just think that it's remarkable that this is the southernmost bit of America, but it used to be Mexico, but now that's Mexico. And I just sit here and think it's unnatural for us to even be here, because you have to go pretty far through the wilderness to get to this nice piece of water. But I feel like I'm at the edge of the map definitively.
The other side of nowhere is what we say at the state park. Mm-hmm. And you really, this is not something that I was raised. You know, growing up, my family, outside of the trip I took with the camp, with my Cub Scouts, my father camping was a Holiday Inn with a black and white TV. And so I was not, nothing had prepared me to have a composting toilet where I shovel shit every 6 months. But that's my life, and I love it. Mm-hmm. And to go 6 days in January without electricity because a truck took out 30 poles north of Alpine, that's not something I'm prepared for. I am now, I have a generator. Mm-hmm. But I have people that I grew up with that were colleagues that they were under the impression that I just lost my mind. And maybe I did.
Yeah.
But
you found it too, so that's what counts.
But the reality is that I'm happier, healthier, sleep better, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. This is what I needed to do. And I can't really quantify it. I can't say that, well, X equals 8. I don't know what X equals. I don't know why this worked, why I had the panic attack at the Starlight, why I didn't go back to my business. At the time, I was working for networks. I was making more money a day than I'd ever seen. I was climbing the career ladder in both camera and sound. I had it all laid out in front of me, and I walked away from it to go shovel shit. And I'm happier.
From a practical photography standpoint, like yesterday was overcast and cloudy all day, and it wasn't a great day to photograph the park. We still did some of our stuff out there. And I think from a filmmaker standpoint, me coming here was thinking, like, how do we get great images of this beautiful place? There's nature everywhere, there's interesting people. Like, just seemed like there's so much to get, but at the same time, I don't think I let myself believe that there was more than I could get. And I think today it sort of hit me, like going through the park and just realizing we can't see all of this in perfect light at every time. And get all the time lapses that I'm like seeing as we're doing this drive out of the park as the sun's going down today, and like there's so many opportunities, and like realizing, oh, this is something I can't. Big Bend's too big to capture.
Yeah, it is. It's untamed, it's wild, and it's changing constantly. Even like the stories you hear, you know, I talk to people as we're going about what their experience were here last time, and everybody's gonna have a different time because the river was either higher or lower,
right?
Or there's certain, you know, one person mentioned to me, like you're saying, that they tried to come here before, they tried to come to Big Bend before, but it was closed because of the government shutdown. And they felt like gypped that they'd come all this way and then the gate was closed.
Right.
And then it's just crazy to think about when you're driving through such a huge landscape with
that it could ever be closed.
It could ever be closed, and that we put a wall around that.
Or that the border could exist. It's the same thing. Like how do you enclose this? You know, it's just you have to reckon with landscapes like this. It just is what it is. You can't claim it, you can't fence it in, you can't control it. I mean, that's part of what Buckner was telling us yesterday about resources in the state park, and just like it is something you can't, you know, he can't keep up with it. The not enough funding to maintain things, and like people go out and make mistakes all the time out there because they underestimate it. We kept running with the theme of a mile's not a mile. You know, people come in here and think, oh, we can do 4, 5, 10, 20, 50 miles. But like a mile out here is a long mile.
Yeah. I mean, St. Helena Canyon, we're going.
We did the easiest trails and we were still feeling worn out and lack of water.
You're climbing staircases up into the, you know, up into the canyon.
And we're here in January. It's as cool as it gets.
Right.
We were commenting on the drive down that, you know, it's everything from a distance is kind of on the horizon. You see some hills, and that's Big Bend. There's a lot of desert, and then there's some hills. And then you take an hour-long off-road drive down to this, and then really the last 5 minutes, and then walk in the car is where the size just goes up crazy. Suddenly, you know, it's a crazy canyon. It's a beautiful river. The temperature changed. Suddenly, you're not in a dry, arid place. You're in a wet, moist, cool place. It's very strange. So we're on the Santa Helena Canyon Trail, and we just recreated another one of my grandparents' photographs. This was my grandmother standing on this ledge somewhere. We tried our best to match it up with the shadows on the rock wall, or the darker spots. Found roughly the same spot, but I think even maybe this trail wasn't even quite cut the same way back then. Obviously, I think cactus don't live that long. Some of these rocks might have moved, but we did our best to recreate it. So it's just another kind of repeat scenario of following in grandparents' steps. And getting to the end of our trek in the national park. It's our last trail, and tomorrow we move on to Santa Fe and slowly get back to normal life. I guess this is just part of the habit of feeling like I have to record it to make it special. It's something we've been talking about a lot, sort of trying to figure out what we're going to do with this trip, and the need to, I think I have, you know, filming is my art and my way of capturing emotion, expressing emotion, capturing memories, all goes through storytelling. So the story of this trip has been wrestling to find what my story here is.
Well, this is where the misfits fit. And it's where I fit. So I guess I'm a misfit. And I'm okay with that because I'm, just a physical example, I've lost 45 pounds in 12 years. And not because I like try, not because I like, today I'm gonna go hike, today I'm gonna go work out, it just happened. And I had friends in Austin that would pull me aside when I would come back and they'd be like, are you okay? Well, yeah, no, I'm fine, why? Well, you're going all Dallas Buyers Club on us and I don't understand what's happening. We think you're sick. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't have access to Taco Bell and Kentucky Fried Chicken and, you know, I'm not eating my emotions. I sit and stare at nothing and it's amazing.
Right. Well, it seems like everybody has a different reason that they go to a park. Like some folks are just having an athletic challenge, climbing and seeing how far they can go, how long of hikes can they do.
For a lot of people, it's a checklist, like, well, let's just see them on. That's kind of how we talked about framing this too, is like, that'd be a good reason to go try to tell some stories in interesting places, but you do sort of have to, I guess part of what I'm struggling with is like, what kind of filmmaker am I trying to be and what are we trying to accomplish? And sometimes it's exciting to not have a goal, and then sometimes you feel like you really need a goal.
You're floundering without one.
It seems like anytime we're making a narrative project, I'm dreaming of trips like this where we find something cool.
Photography trips.
Yeah, and you just let it be and you don't know what you'll come across. Because a lot of our good pieces have come out that way. And then likewise, when I'm doing stuff like this, all we've been talking about is like our next narrative. We're writing a narrative film out here, a Western or something. And surprisingly, pieces of even like outside of us are falling to even allow that to happen with like connections out here and stuff.
Well, it's like you have to fill yourself up and absorb all the creative energy and want to make something before you can.
Right.
So it's like you want to blame yourself for coming out here and not having it all under control or knowing what to film, but it's like it's your first time out here.
Right.
You're just seeing it. It wasn't until we drove on the way back from the canyon, we saw some beautiful white rocks and that big hill that you went up on.
Right.
That we thought, oh, now this is where we'd like to put a scene.
Right.
But it's like we found that at the very end of the journey.
Right, right by the paved road.
If we had come out here with a narrative in mind and the actors and everything going on,
we wouldn't have found that spot.
We wouldn't have found that spot.
Sure.
The things that a traveler learns are rarely things you can put a camera on, you know.
Sure.
It's
that's where you have to write the poetry and
the doubt, and there's
to write the script and the dialogue and
even there's things that can't be conveyed that are boring and normal parts of human experience, and everything.
Well, that's why like, you know, it would have been easy to be like, well, we're just not getting anything. Let's just stop getting the camera out and let's just let this be for us. And so I'm trying to make sure I have, you know, be open to this is some new form of something that was probably some one-off thing, but this is a more personal documentary.
Well, I'll tell you, as a songwriter, when you go into when I pick up my guitar, we were up on the hill earlier, and I'm picking up my guitar.
Yeah.
I don't have it in mind yet.
Sure.
You know, you kind of start getting the movement going, and you put yourself in it, and then I start thinking on what have I digested recently, and some of it comes out, and some of it is on the revision that I finally get the good idea.
Right.
But that it's a leap of faith.
The trick is for you to write your song about this experience doesn't require you to come back.
True.
For me to make a film out here requires more time and money and commitment and being physically here again. Mm-hmm. So I think that's where my urgency to keep rolling on things comes from.
But that's what it is. I mean, that's what I mean. Like the equivalent of it as a songwriter would be, if I wanted to be comfortable, I'd wait until I was back at the desk with the candle burning and the coffee next to me.
You're writing part of it here.
Right. But it's like just while I'm here, while I'm thinking about it, get my guitar out and just try to play, even though this is uncomfortable, my guitar is not in tune. I feel silly. Evan's here with a camera on me. It's like, should I play a song that's finished if he's got a camera? No, I'm just working on a song.
Well, that's where like actually little moments of that felt like we were sort of in sync, because I wasn't really getting anything real, but I know that that's a little clip of something on this journey, because there's a moment where we're on the hill, and maybe it won't resonate or mean anything, but it's something.
It happened.
Yeah.
So I think this will be an interesting thing to edit, in that it is just sort of, it's much more vague than anything we've kind of tried to do, and hopefully try to capture some of the beauty of a place. But yeah, I think there has been a lot of me wrestling with, I'm going to a place I've never been that feels sort of mystical, and I don't really know what I'm getting into, and I definitely feel a little defeated by the landscapes. I think we got some great shots for sure, but it's like there's just no way to capture it.
No, you can't put it in a bottle.
As good of a photographer or cinematographer as I think I am, and sure, I can get a great shot right here of this thing, but there's just infinity out there, you know. There's no way to convey it all.
Today there is snow in the valley. I can say from my place up above, sweet Mother Nature laying out the blankets of her love. They say that she's wearing a white gown. Well, beauty is led in a head down. I can see from my window in the tower, the valley is filling up with powder at Stoneflower. Back then there was sun in the grasses. Can't blame an egg if it hatches. Though you're feeling really restless, might as well get on back to Texas. Mid-Shirix. To carry. Fate ain't a body that you can bear.